Rejoice, everyone. We're back with another Sekhie Reacts to Fate. This week, Hans Christian Andersen.
Mm-hmm. And yes, I do have a book or a knick-knack for literally everything that we do.
I mean, you have a knick-knack for everything you do.
I mean that in the literal definition, not in the human definition. Yeah, so I think my dad got this when he was in Copenhagen traveling one time. It's like a little mini, I think it's like a paperweight, but it's the statue of the Little Mermaid, right, from Copenhagen. So this is actually there. And it is based on the Hans Christian Andersen story. So I knew I had this somewhere in the house, and I went and found it. I also have the complete and illustrated stories of Hans Christian Andersen, which is a thick and hefty book, of which I have bookmarked all the stories that I read for today. Although I had actually read a bunch of these earlier because my dad thought that these were appropriate bedtime stories for small children. So I got these as bedtime stories as a small child. Knick-knack, do you agree that these are appropriate bedtime stories for a small child?
No, probably not.
This is like the Grimm's fairy tales all over again. Speaking of, do we have the Brothers Grimm?
They might be like a little background servant, but I don't think they have it. They're not an actual like FGO or in a Fate work as a major character.
That's disappointing.
It's a matter of not every major historical figure can be a servant already.
I know.
We only literally just got Theseus.
I know.
And that's like one of the Greek myths.
I know. You know what someone needs to do? Go back through all of our Sekhie Reacts to Fate videos, write down every character who I've said needs to be in Fate, send it to Nasu.
There's a few characters you said every time their name comes up.
Yeah, literally every single time. Like Olga of Kiev.
Yes.
Yeah. She needs to be in Fate, Nasu. Make it happen. 2023, 2024. Make it happen. But anyways, yeah, today so we're talking about the Danish author Hans Christian Andersen. Born in 1805, died in 1875 at the age of the ripe old age of 70. What?
Nothing. We'll come
That's
back
actually a decently old age, my guy. Like,
no, I'm aware. Just you. We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Okay, this is a Fate thing, very obviously.
Yes.
So Hans Christian Andersen is most famous for his fairy tales, of which he published across multiple volumes. Some really notable ones including The Emperor's New Clothes, The Little Mermaid, The Nightingale, The Steadfast Tin Soldier, Red Shoes, Princess and the Pea, The Snow Queen, The Ugly Duckling, The Little Match Girl, Thumbelina, several of which have been made into movies by Disney, or by other people. So, for example, The Little Mermaid, Disney movie. The Red Shoes was a Barbie movie recently. The Princess and the Pea has had a few different adaptions. Once Upon a Mattress. There's like a 2001 Princess and the Pea animated movie that I love that's like super unknown. Like, people don't know this movie, but I love it. The Snow Queen is technically...
It like started as an actual adaptation of the Snow Queen, and then it like really went into left field.
Yeah, so Disney kind of did that. There have been a couple like Ugly Duckling sort of things, and Disney did make a Thumbelina, I think.
Ugly Duckling was prominently featured in Lilo and Stitch.
Yes, but Disney I think also did make a Thumbelina, maybe like before the 2000s.
Maybe.
But I know that there's a Barbie Thumbelina.
I know Thumbelina is in Shrek too.
Oh yeah, she is. I think there's a Disney movie. I might be mixing it up with The Borrowers though, like Arrietty and The Borrowers. But yeah, that is neither here nor there. It's unimportant. By the way, good of you for guessing that my shitty joke at the end of the last episode was in a reference to The Emperor's New Clothes. I know it was bad. I tried. I could have gone with an easier story, and I didn't.
Womp womp.
I could have just put on a pair of red shoes and shown my feet to the camera.
You don't give away free feet pics.
Only feet coming when? I heard about that Reddit quiz, Fate fans. I heard about that. Y'all are cursed. Y'all need Jesus. So, He was born in Denmark. He has a step sibling, and technically he was born to a sort of higher social class. I mean, his family believed that they were of a higher social class than they were. They thought, well, apparently his one of his paternal grandparents had told his father that they were related to nobility, but this has been investigated, and this is not the case. Like, they were not based on their family tree. Although, there is one theory that suggests Andersen himself was the illegitimate son of King Charles VIII of, I think, Denmark. But I don't think that's necessarily...
That's not a canon event.
No, this is not a canon event in this thing. So he was baptized, so he was born religious and baptized. I think something interesting is when I was reading over like kind of his life story, and it's mentioned here on Wikipedia outside because I source off a couple different places, and like there's a small biography of him in here too. But I guess one of the things that he got read growing up was Arabian Nights, and so did I. Like, my dad read to me the Arabian Nights when I was growing up. And there's an Arabian Nights movie that's really good, and I remember watching it a lot when I was a child, so that's really fun. He moved to Copenhagen when he was a teenager to seek employment as an actor because, you know, he believed that's where his skills lied. He did have an excellent singing voice and was accepted into the Royal Danish Theatre, but, you know, he grew up and then he wasn't a soprano anymore. You know, as men do. But one of his colleagues told him that he was good at writing, and so he decided to take up writing as a serious pursuit at this point. Let's see. What was it that happened next? Oh yeah. So he was sponsored to go to a grammar school at this point to continue his education so that he could continue writing at kind of this level. So he started writing some of his fairy tales, and so he has like the first collection that he published. The first collection included The Tinderbox and The Princess and the Pea. The second one included Thumbelina and so on. But basically, throughout his life, he would publish a number of different volumes and books, often re-editing and sort of that sort of thing, to kind of end up with all these different stories. Because there's far more than what I've mentioned, obviously. Like, this is a large book, and most of these stories are not that long. I think The Snow Queen is maybe the longest one, because it's a multi-part story. Most of the rest of these are only like 1 to 10 pages maximum. So,
she meant to give me the book so I could read them too. That didn't happen.
I've been busy. Also, would you really have read all the stories?
Yes, I actually had some time this week.
Fuck. Alright, y'all, we'll be back in a week.
No, we won't. I won't have time next week.
Damn. He did also publish some travel logs throughout his life. Descriptions of where he traveled and where he went, which was quite popular in the 1800s. Travel logs and documentation of travel by people who were wealthy enough to afford it became quite the fad. What?
Ooh.
He continued living in Copenhagen for the majority of his life as more of a permanent settlement. And as a result, this is where his memorial plaque and a lot of the kind of memorials to his life and his writing are. Although his house in Odense, where he was born, has been preserved. And I believe you can visit. I'm not sure, though. I've never been. So, you know, those of you who are from the area, let us know. But, fun fact, this man knew Charles Dickens.
Oh boy, the Charles Dickens relationship.
They respected each other.
For a bit.
Yeah, okay. So, they started out respecting one another. Hans Christian Andersen had some interesting interpersonal relationships and dramas. We're going to call them interesting. So, when he first met Dickens, he did enjoy his interactions with Charles Dickens, but about 10 years after he initially visited him, he visited England again to meet with Dickens, and extended his brief visit into a 5-week stay, which Charles Dickens' family did not particularly appreciate, and he was told to leave. And then Charles Dickens just stopped sending letters to him, and Anderson did not understand. He was like, why did my friend stop writing to me?
I don't think we have the full context of what happened there, but it's still hilarious.
It's really funny. Like, also, it's kind of impolite to, like, come for a brief visit and then decide to stay for 5 weeks. That's a lot.
But, like, when you stay for 5 weeks, we're to, like, really edge into the we are never talking again. Like, he had to be an awful house guest.
Yeah.
And he does have some other eccentricities recorded throughout his life.
Yeah, he was gay.
Besides that one, like, he is recording as being very... What was it? That he was very... I don't remember the term. It's been a minute since I looked at this. Was it emotional?
Well, he wasn't particular when he was young. He was not particularly partial to the idea of sexual relations.
Yeah.
But he did experience same-sex attraction, and he did write to men about his attraction to them. And apparently that caused him a lot of suffering.
I mean, it would.
But he did end up in a relationship with Karl Alexander, the Duke of Saxe-Weimar-Eisenach. Which, by the way, anytime I see Saxe on a royal family, just know it's somehow connected to the British royal family. Because there's, like, Saxe-Coburg, Saxe-Gotha, Saxe-Weimar, Saxe so on. Basically, the House of Saxe married into every royal house in Europe. This is how they're all connected, I swear to fucking God.
Must have some beautiful children.
I mean, we made a comment about his schnoz earlier. Like, this man had a prodigious nose. But apparently he and the Grand Duke had quite a lovely relationship during the majority of the time that they were involved with one another. And he did also have some other affairs and lovers throughout his life. People he was infatuated with and people who he wrote about. He was not particularly discreet, so a lot of people knew about these... These things, you know.
History did not record them as roommates.
No. Well, I think that's more because Anderson himself did not try to disguise them as roommates. So, you know, he apparently he was bisexual to some extent because he did harbor love for women. Like, there's a reason why most of his stories have female protagonists, and he did, like, kind of idolize certain types of women and did write to them of his love, but it was not... He did not have as much, like, tangible luck. He was more shy, and it was harder for him to express himself to women. So, most of his, like, public relationships are with men. Because he was not shy, and... Yeah, scandal, he's dating a man in the 18th century, no less. That's almost as bad as showing your ankles. So, when he was 67, he fell out of bed and suffered from a pretty serious injury. I'd be willing to bet that what he did was he broke his hip. Because it's pretty well known now that, like, the femur, the head of the femur snaps pretty easily from the rest of your femur. Mm-hmm. And when you are elderly, that's the sort of thing that the femur heals relatively fast and strong as a bone. But if someone is not active about working and, like, moving and stuff, it can really be kind of like a death sentence to break a femur when you're a little bit older. So, like, I'd be willing to bet maybe he broke a femur. And then he also showed signs of liver cancer. So, like, he didn't die from like whatever injury he had, but he didn't really recover from it, and then he was sick from other things. So he died in 1875 in a house near Copenhagen called Rolleged, and the home of one of his close friends and his wife. And then he had actually, before his death, had a composer create music for his funeral, but he wanted it to be upbeat because he thought a lot of children would attend his funeral because he was such a well-known children's literature writer.
Do we have it noted how many did?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I don't know. So his body is interred near Copenhagen, but in 1914 the stone was moved to a different cemetery. Also, when he died, Anderson was technically revered internationally and was paid an annual stipend by the Danish government because he was considered a national treasure. So, okay, I will say, this is one of those rare examples where we have, like, someone who's really still famous today, but, like, he did profit, like,
He was famous and well-regarded at his time, too.
This is not a Van Gogh situation.
No.
Like, in his lifetime, he experienced the fruit of his own labors, which is really admirable. And I think, you know, for some people, it just doesn't work out, even though it should. But for Hans Christian Andersen, it did. And I am happy that he did get that sort of thing in his life, because so many artists and writers don't.
But we lost the great friendship between him and Dickens.
I don't know. Darl's Chicken seems a little uptight. So, I did want to touch upon, we've got a huge legacy section here, right? This is more than half the page on Wikipedia. And I think this is fair, because there are several museums dedicated to him. So there's the Hans Christian Andersen Museum in Odense, and the one in Solvang, California. So we actually have a Hans Christian Andersen museum here. And then the Library of Congress has an extensive collection of Hans Christian Andersen materials bequeathed to them by the actor Gene Herschelt when he died. And then in terms of arts and entertainment, I cannot possibly detail all the adaptations of all of his stories that made it to movie. But suffice to say, there are some very, very famous ones. One of them being the Walt Disney Productions, Mermaid, The Little Mermaid, and technically Frozen.
Arguably, some of those missed the point.
Well, yeah. There was a short animated film about the little match girl made by Disney in 2006. Oh, okay. So I found the Thumbelina I was thinking of. So it's not Disney. It was an independent American musical fantasy. This was very popular, though. Like, a lot of people grew up with this Thumbelina. It's 1994. So I remember that. There's also a bunch of Japanese adaptations of his works, which is pretty fun. Like, there's even a Hans Christian Andersen's Little Mermaid and a Thumbelina. Little Mermaid and Thumbelina get a lot.
Let's be real here. Ponyo is just a Little Mermaid remake.
I mean, yeah. So there's some really famous children's classics authors that have cited Andersen as their, like, in one of their inspirations. One of them is The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame, and another one is Winnie the Pooh. And then the technique he used of making, like, toys come to life, right? Like the little tin soldier was used by Lewis Carroll to great extent in his Through the Looking Glass series. There's also some stage productions. The Nightingale got an opera in 1914. And then Once Upon a Mattress. I love this one. I watched the TV movie. So there's some monuments and sculptures to him and his works. And I thought I would briefly... So this is the, like, in-person version of the Little Mermaid statue. And you can see she's holding... I believe that's her hair. I think that's what it's meant to be, because she cuts off her hair to give away. But
that trope has existed for ages.
Yeah. So I just thought I'd cover some of the really famous stories, because you told me I should, and also I really like them.
Look, sometimes it's just nice to let you go off, have your fun.
So The Emperor's New Clothes is a really popular one, and I grew up knowing this story, but essentially this trader or tailor comes to court, depending on the version, because these stories have been rewritten, by the way, by other authors. So comes to court, and he kind of displays what appears to be nothing to the king, right? But he said, oh, this is a beautiful garment made of the most elegant materials, and those who are not worthy of it cannot see it. And the king is worried that he isn't worthy, so even though he doesn't say anything, he says, oh, yes, I see it. It's beautiful. And it's the tailor tricks the king into buying all these garments that those who are not worthy of them cannot see. And the king puts them on and goes out to walk amongst his people, and he is starkers. This man is stark-ass naked. He is just letting it all hang out. And, like, the way it goes is that all the adults are they've been told the story, and they're like, we just cannot see the clothes because we are not good enough. But a little kid goes, Mister, why are you naked? Yeah.
The emperor has no clothes.
Yeah, and that's how he's found out Like that's how it's exposed to the public in the story. And so it's a really funny story. It's just a little comedy story for children. It's not too...
There is actually a pretty big thematic message there that you can read.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
all of them are. Classical children's literature have some of the strongest sort of morals and lessons I've found in literature. Because often that's the point. They're not just supposed to amuse children. They are, in a lot of ways, supposed to teach children things. So almost all of Hans Christian Andersen's stories are teaching moments. So this is The Little Mermaid. I really don't feel the need to describe this story to anyone. I feel like everyone should know it.
Tell them how it differs from the Disney version.
Okay, well here's the thing. So when the prince ends up marrying someone else, right, or goes on to try to marry someone else, the little mermaid's heart is broken, and she thinks that she's going to die, right, the next morning. But instead of the Disney version where, you fight off the evil witch and you get your man, no, her sisters come out of the water, and they have their hair cut short, and they give her a dagger. And what they've done is they've exchanged their hair for this dagger that will kill the prince. And if she kills the prince and lets his blood drip onto her feet, she can grow back her tail and return to the ocean to join her family. However, if she can't, well, there are consequences if she doesn't do it. However, she can't do this. She's still so in love with him that she can't do it. So she throws herself and the dagger off the ship, and her body dissolves into sea foam. Yeah. There's also, there's a fun little snippet that's not included in the Disney, that her walking on bare feet is like walking barefoot across broken glass with every step. Constantly.
It is a very different story.
Yeah. It's a little bit more... I mean, the main part of the story is the same, but it's more brutal, and that's because Disney doesn't make brutal stories.
They should.
They should, but they don't. The Nightingale.
What what if Disney's live action remakes were just remakes of the original brutal versions of them? Like the actual...
I need you to know that I would love that so much. And do you know why? Because then at the end of the 2015 Cinderella, I would have gotten to see them put the stepsisters and the stepmother in nail-studded barrels, hitch them to horses, and then drive the horses all over the kingdom.
Exactly.
With them bouncing around with the nails.
Like, make them the old, mean-spirited, kind of depressing versions.
Also, we could have seen them cut their own heels off. And their toes. That would have been great. And then she could have gone to the graveyard at the Weeping Willow and, look at her feet. Look at her feet. She bleeds. She is not the true bride. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I have strong feelings. I really think that the original Grimm's fairy tales and Hans Christian Andersen stories should be adapted into media, but I also understand that they are quite dark, and I wouldn't necessarily show that to a small child. And maybe this is just because I read them as a child. I would not mind reading these stories to a small child. I think I would draw the line at visually depicting this in all of its gore to a small child. And I think that's just because often, at least for small children, the visual element can have more of an impact, because when you're imagining your feet hurting like stepping on broken glass, a child has not typically stepped on broken glass. They think it hurts, but they're not watching someone walk on broken glass.
For anyone that does know broken glass, it's a brutal...
It's highly unpleasant having stepped on broken glass before. It is highly unpleasant. And I mean that that is the most understated way I can say this. So I think while I would like to see adaptations of these more brutal fairy tales, I also would not necessarily show them to like a very young child per se. And that's not a bad thing, and it doesn't mean they shouldn't be made. I would just wait till the child is old enough to kind of understand better about the brutality of them. I would have no issue reading it to them, though.
Because some of these are just downright horror movies.
Yeah, but like I said, I would not mind reading it to them because they don't have the concepts all the time to imagine the horror of it. So reading it to them, I feel like I wouldn't mind as much. You know? Also, some children aren't that creative. So this is the Nightingale. And this is about a friendship between the Emperor of China and a nightingale, as the thing suggests. So the jeweled nightingale sang to the Emperor. And then the Emperor was moved to tears, made the person who brought the nightingale to court part of his court. And then he received a second nightingale, a jeweled automaton that sang. And the song was really pretty, but it was always exactly the same. And because it was there as well, the real nightingale flew away out of the palace when no one was looking because it felt unappreciated. So he placed the artificial one by his bedside and listened to that. And it sang him to sleep each night until it wore down. And then it was repaired, but it could only play a little bit once a year. 5 years later, the emperor was ill, and one night death came for him, right? So he was like deathly ill, and he wanted the nightingale to sing. And the real nightingale returned to his friend, the emperor, and sang, and it restored the emperor's health and caused death to leave him in peace. And so the nightingale didn't want to come back to be a permanent guest, but he said he would come back to visit. Because they're friends. Mm-hmm. It's very cute. Not that brutal. I mean, death is there, but...
But it's a good little story.
Yeah. Red Shoes is a personal favorite of mine. I like Red Shoes. But it's a curse. It's a story about a curse. Putting on red shoes that make someone unable to stop dancing. Thought something was knocking on the fucking window from outside.
No, it's a Luna.
For those of you who haven't...
It's a different angle, actually, for anyone that didn't notice.
Yeah. Things have moved around in the office. For better? Better
in some regards.
Yeah. Either way, there's Luna. She hangs out there now. But I like the red shoes. And I've actually seen the trope of red shoes used several times in different media. It's been used in Barbie twice, for example. Yeah. You had a reaction to red shoes. Do you not like red shoes?
So I don't like red shoes, but if I remember right, that story is a little bit less wholesome than the Nightingale.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit. But I like it. I like it. Don't wear red shoes, children. The Princess and the Pea.
What if I'm in a weird land and I want to go home? There's no place
silver.
Like home. There's... In the original, it was
Dorothy's shoes were silver.
In the original.
Yep. They only became red after Technicolor was introduced.
Yes.
Yeah. So technically, still, don't wear red shoes. Silver. So The Princess and the Pea is a favorite of mine. This is what Once Upon a Mattress is based on. And it's that...
You have like a Lego brick underneath your seat cover.
Yeah. Basically. There's a prince, and he's searching for a bride, and his mother declares that the test will be... that the princesses who are coming to be his wife must be tested to see if they are a true princess. And she devises a bunch of different ways to test this. But the one that keeps going is you put a single pea under 20 mattresses and 20 blankets. And if the princess wakes in the morning in pain or cannot sleep, it means that they are truly a princess because the pea has bruised her through 20 layers. What? So, I know you've not seen Once Upon a Mattress, but the joke they make in Once Upon a Mattress is that the queen comes in and places the pea, right? And then after she leaves, all the people who are rooting for the princess that's doing the test come in and put, like, armor and spiked balls under the first mattress down. So that it's actually, like, jagged.
It's like this entire test is just built to get, like, to end up with a woman that's going to nag as much as humanly possible. And you know that, right?
Yeah. But it's also be a delicate lady.
Like, I mean, come on. This is like complaining that it's hot when it's 70 degrees out.
Was it this one? Yeah, so I watched this one as a child like a bunch of times. And it was, this one was a really fun version to watch. So like if you ever want to see The Princess and the Pea, I highly recommend either Once Upon a Mattress, the TV movie version, or this animated version, because I really like this animated version. The Snow Queen.
Let it go.
Let it go. Don't hold me back anymore.
Let it go.
Hate.
Let it go. Let that mediocre Disney movie go.
You know they're getting a third movie?
Are they making a third one?
I think so, yeah. I think they are. I think I saw it somewhere. But The Snow Queen is one of the more well-known Hans Christian Andersen tales. And it is very long. This is maybe one of the longest stories that he wrote. And as a result, I'm not really going to go over it, but suffice to say, it involves kidnapping and the insertion of mind-controlling ice into someone's eyeballs.
Do you want to make some trauma?
Oh, look, I've been impaled. The Ugly Duckling! So this story, this is just a really fun one, you know? Like it's just that the ugliest people can sometimes grow up to be beautiful, and ugliness doesn't mean that you're a bad person. That's basically all this story means. There's this little duckling, and it's hanging out in an area with like a bunch of swans, and so they call it the Ugly Duckling because it doesn't look as beautiful as the swans. It's a duckling. It's fine. We love it. We'll come back to that. Thumbelina! It's a little girl.
Itty bitty.
It's an itty bitty girl. Yeah. It's just itty bitty girl who like goes on adventures, and this mouse tries to get her to marry him, and she has to avoid that. It's cute. There have been a lot of adaptations of Thumbelina. So I personally really like and hate The Little Match Girl. I don't know if you had time to read this one, or if you had to read it for Fate. But so it's New Year's Eve, and this little girl, right? She's poor and she's barefoot. She doesn't have anything to cover her feet or head, and she's trying to sell matches in the street on New Year's Eve, and she's afraid to go home without selling the matches. Is that yours?
Yep.
Cool. She's afraid to go home without selling all the matches because her father will beat her if she goes home without bringing back the money. So she hides between two houses in an alleyway and lights the matches one by one to try to keep herself warm. But no one passing by wants to buy anything from her. They ignore her, so she just sits there cold and alone on New Year's. And when she lights the matches, in their flames, she sees visions of like a warm iron stove and a warm meal and a Christmas tree, and when the matches burn out, the visions disappear, and so she'll light another one and she'll see something new, like something that she'd love to have, like just a warm place to sit down, a family meal, a Christmas tree. And in the sky she sees a shooting star, which her grandmother had told her meant someone was going to heaven. And in the flame of the next match, she sees her grandmother, the only person who ever loved her. And to keep this vision alive for as long as possible, she lights the entire bundle of matches at once to try to keep it there for as long as possible. And when the matches burn out, she freezes to death in the cold winter, and her soul's carried to heaven on the shooting star that she saw. And in the next morning, her body is found with a smile on her face. Oh no, I'm sad. Like, genuinely. This story always hits hard. It's so sad.
It's a bit of a depressing one, ain't it?
A little bit, yeah. And like, there's nothing happy about this story. I mean, she's like literally lighting matches one by one just to keep herself warm enough not to freeze. Oh, now I'm crying. So you gave me some other things to look up outside of Hans Christian Andersen.
One of them I have actually a Wikipedia page open up for later.
Okay, which one is that? Okay, which ones can I cover?
Actually, the extra things are probably better covered later.
Okay, I'll wait.
When we open up the other Wikipedia page, it's a very specific thing, but we don't actually need to go too far. I just want to make sure you know what they were.
Okay, alright, I can wait. Hold on, let me clear off some of this gunk. Then we can move on. Okay.
That's just not the right page open.
Alright, so am I moving on to this Hans Christian Andersen tab next?
Yep.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not super surprised by what it looks like, because I think he's been spoiled a little bit for me recently.
That said, I'm going to say you're not expecting what he sounds like.
Oh.
So you want to know who his voice actor is?
Yeah, okay.
See, like this little kid design? His voice actor is Dio.
Well, that's fun. Look at, oh, those damn floating books. Those goddamn floating books. I like the headphones with the iPad. That's a fun kind of modern take on this. Oh, love the combination of the different mediums. Didn't we see something like, Gilgamesh. In Gilgamesh's one outfit, he goes to the tablet instead of yeah.
Well, that was a summer outfit. It was just part of his regular designs.
Well, I like it. I kind of don't like his April Fools as much. It makes him look
It actually
less...
looks a little bit off compared to the other ones.
Yeah, he looks a little less childish and cute. Like, this is kid. This look like adult. I don't know. I don't like it.
It's because everyone's designed like that in April Fools, so it doesn't quite look like kid.
Yeah, I especially like this one, though. I like this one with the trailing coat and everything.
I put that up to the fact that I've scarred you with flying books.
That's true. I hate the flying books. They're awful. All right. What do you have to tell me about Hans Christian Andersen, who I see as a caster?
Yes.
I knew he was a caster.
Hans Christian Andersen was first introduced in Fate Extra CCC and was later summonable in Fate Grand Order. Mm-hmm. Yes, he is summoned into the body of a young boy. Servants usually are summoned in their prime, so this is in its own way saying that Hans's prime was when he was the least desensitized to the world.
Valid.
Alternatively, it may have been a result of the master being a fucked up piece of shit.
Those are two very different reasons.
We'll get more on that later, but despite his young appearance, he does have the voice of a fully grown man and the personality of one to go with it.
I hate that.
As far as his personality goes, he is very blunt when it comes to other people, including servants. Cynical beyond compare, despite his hatred for his original master, he takes an impartial view of things of people as he can. Mm-hmm. He also has balls made of steel. He goes as far as to insult various servants to their faces, one of which being Gilgamesh.
What does he say?
We actually can see that here on this page later. It's an entire ass thing that he just does to everybody in Fate Extra CCC. You can go ahead and scroll down now to that if you want.
Oh, I just mean you're shaking the table still.
Sorry.
And because the camera's not exactly just... Okay, so I'm... First of all, though, likes the moment when writing is finished. Dislikes writer's block. I love that. Let's see. I'm just looking down over here. Okay. Very blunt, I see that. Light the firewood in the fireplace of frozen affection. Damn. Oh, interesting.
And those.
Oh, hell yes.
Characters.
Hell yes. Aight.
So Lancer here is.
It's Red Lancer, so it's.
This would be Karna.
Okay. All right. Ah, the daughter of dragons employed by BB.
Oh, wait, no, this is Elizabeth Bathory.
Oh, she's an unsightly woman that her appearance goes without saying, but the same applies to her character. Her upbringing is unsightly. Her ideology is unsightly. Her disposition is unsightly. Her sense is unsightly. I can't bear to look at her. At a glance, she appears to be prideful, but others don't see the truth behind it. That pride isn't directed at anyone. She's an utter laughingstock. That woman treats humans the same as pigs. In words, she's doing nothing but holding her head high in front of a bunch of pigs. She is the personification of narcissism. But, well, just what is love exactly? Something you steal, something you bestow. A woman who has yet to understand that principle is the most unmanageable monster in this world. Jesus.
The next one is Tomomo.
Oh, okay. I don't think I'm going to read all of these out because they're really long, but I want to read them. Let's see.
Just read any lines that stick out to you.
Let's see. You believe that because of your Shota appearance, any abusive remark will be forgiven, yeah? Alright, to the rooftop. I'll blow you away. I believe you and I are equally foul-mouthed. That's a great start. I like that this one's like a conversation.
Some of these end up being conversation. The ones where they're actually there, just your servants.
Yeah. I had hoped they were a new kind of costume play. You are a disappointment. That's so sad. Jesus. Oh, an analysis of himself. Foolishness and pointlessness come to a pinnacle. I am exactly as I appear, a man you can find anywhere. He's useless.
Yes.
I love that. I'm not going to do Ren.
You don't even know who that is.
I don't know Ronnie the... Well, I could make a guess as to who Ronnie the Eighth is, but...
No, you actually can't. She's a Fate original character.
Oh, it is?
Yep.
Oh, it sounds... Because there is a...
I'm sure there's someone that name might be based on. It's not a historical figure.
Alright. I'm not gonna... Oh, yes, Gilgamesh. Good grief. Flagged for death at the speed of light and backing off just as quickly. As I would expect of, let's say, an orthodox young lady unabashedly declaring her harmlessness. This man, while set in his own ideas, is disgusted by the narrow views that permeate society. Interesting. Gilgamesh was a ruffian that brought suffering to his country and his people. Calling you a king of men would make me laugh. A fool who united heaven and earth, ruling over men without governing his country. A king of heroes is just that, and not to be called king of men, even by accident. The principle of kingship is simply to reign. You establish yourself as a king, but the state is nothing but a storm with will. First you destroy. After that you cannot even promise a good harvest. And in that sad state you gather the riches your subjects produce. Greed, cruelty, and conceit. Those three things raised to their ultimate form and made into one. That's what you are. Serfs raise their crops, kings raise their countries, but you didn't even raise a country. You did all nothing but kill and pursue your self-satisfaction. Your nation, your followers, your legend, none of it continues after you. The only thing remaining to you is yourself. Jesus.
And this is all said to his goddamn face.
Christ. Christ. Love that. Let's see. I don't know a lot of these characters, so... Yeah, I'm skipping the ones I don't know because I just...
You don't know them.
Yeah, so I don't really know if it's, deserved or not. But that Gilgamesh one was scathing. Man, Anderson really just said, you useless sack of shit.
Yes, he did.
In no uncertain terms. He didn't even hide it. Okay, there's also relationships. All right.
Because these are the FGO ones.
I have a bad presentiment. You all are still fine, but don't tell me we're going to have even that come. That. The woman who swallowed the moon. She's the most despicable woman, but she's a perfect subject for me to write about. However, her story is not something that the me in Chaldea should write. It should just be between the me, who was in that special case, and the woman herself. That was about Chiara Sekhie. Alright. So, now the moon cancer. I have absolutely nothing to do with that one, but I'm tempted to throw some money at her at this point. And what the heck's with her being a magical girl? Even if that's her character deep down, it's still too much. BB. There seems to be an artificial demon calling herself BB. I apparently have a certain amount of history with her, a butterfly that burned the moon. But that's probably the story of a different me who was summoned to a different place. Okay. Passion Lip. Or Matrilis. There are other alter egos who derive from BB. I would say that you need to put a cap on all those eccentrics, but I understand your desire to rein them all in to some extent. They're all interesting in their own way. Young one, go ahead and have a few fetishes. That's what it said!
Yes.
King Protea. Oh, you mean that eyesore of a girl who I yelled at the time because she irritates me? What about it? Is that so strange? I actually can't explain it either. Maybe it's this feeling of responsibility I somehow have? Or maybe she and I had some history before. Do you know anything about it? Ooh, Shakespeare. Well, well, if it isn't the great theatre master with the turbulent career. Has anyone told you your life is much more dramatic than any of your plays? That's almost a diss. Tommy Thumb. A collection of nursery rhymes, huh? They are gems when you first meet, but over time they're forgotten. Holes start to form in adults' pockets, but it's not meaningless. They may not be worth a penny, but they still have some value to you. Isn't that what childhood memories are? The Tongue-Cut Sparrow. What's that? Let me read it. Ha! Plot lines are all the same no matter where a story comes from, but then again, the stories of the workaholic sparrow in an inn and the crane who returns a favor are nice. The inn is like the profession of writing, requiring a diligent spirit to work, and any editors who dare to peek and check the author's progress while he writes will lose everything. Keep that in mind. Murasaki Shikibu and Sei Shonagun. So, hey, Writers Month! Because that's what November is, NaNoWriMo.
That's what we did last year.
That's what we're doing this year, National Novel Writing Month. So for those of you, if anyone's participating in NaNoWriMo, you know, good luck.
Good luck. I don't have that kind of time nor energy.
I've done it in school twice because I had to.
I didn't complete a novel, and what I did write wasn't very high quality.
No, but I admire anyone who does participate in NaNoWriMo and actually produce something decent. So now writers from the Heian period can be summoned. This place is getting desperate, I see. Was that shade at Murasaki and Sei? Not bad. And so it was Kaoru and Nagiko who came. I'm surprised that they were friends who pushed each other for inspiration. I'm a bit envious of them for having writing companions close by. I mean, you had Charles Dickens, but you kind of alienated him.
Remember, he also willingly calls himself worthless.
That's true. Katsushika Hokusai. Or is it Oe? You know that spirited, beautiful woman who wouldn't be much of a subject to draw, but attractive enough to be a subject in writing? Would you be able to set us up to be alone one day? I'd like to meet Kyokute Bakin. Okay. Oberon. To take something that was once simple and embellish it, so that it is recognized as something different. That is the very definition of innocent monster. William Shakespeare, the fairy tale you spoke of, has grown up to be an even worse monster than you, but I can't even laugh, because the hollow space that man harbors is something that every human possesses. Alright, Balbanshi, Bargest, Melusine. I heard about combining heroic spirits to make high servants, but I never imagined heroic spirit names would have been given to fairies. Adding something violent to something so tragic. Even a starving fairy tale writer wouldn't think of such a thing. Ooh, Alexandre Dumas? Ah, vexing yet interesting, but I'll never approve of this sort of pleasure for the sake of pleasure, while grasping tightly the newspaper and goes all like, go read the sequel for the Count of Monte Cristo. I mean, mood, okay. As I am at abilities.
So, Hans, as you saw, is utterly useless in direct combat. Even more so than most casters.
Yeah, I would like to make the comment, I do think it's funny that he's considered to be one of, like, the three great authors with the Brothers Grimm and Aesop, right, from Aesop's Fables, and that there's a Japanese name for that, the Sandai Saka. Yeah. I have read all three works by all three.
So we kind of see in FGO that his primary means of fighting tends to be summoning phantoms of characters or anecdotes from his stories, but they're all very situational.
Mm-hmm.
He instead spends most of his time working on a manuscript that he will never ever finish.
Okay. So I see territory creation, item construction, but moving on to personal skills, human observation. So he's got a really good at observing humans. Like, really good at it. Innocent monster. I didn't realize we'd be getting another one so soon. Mm-hmm. But so we talked about this a little bit in campaign because we've gotten him as a servant already.
Yeah.
But he's he's suffering the damage of his own stories, the curse of the readers.
Yes.
Yeah. So you said the way you described it to me before was that his personality is being written over by like the perception people have of him and the fairy tales he wrote.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is why he has like mermaid scales on his legs and burn scars on his arms, and so on. Okay.
It's not as bad as other innocent monsters, though.
Yeah. Okay.
Like he's not literally growing a dragon tail.
That's true. High speed incantation. All right. Noble phantasms.
So his noble phantasm in
Martian mein Liebens.
I was gonna thank you for pronouncing that for me.
It's come my children, I think, or yeah.
Yeah. So his noble phantasm here is what he does is he writes a story with the ally or his master usually as its main character.
Mm-hmm. This
will provide buffs and demerits based on the contents of that story. The better written the story, the stronger its effect on the ally, and his works can make an ally incredibly powerful, but if he is not motivated to write it and he doesn't feel compelled, it'll probably end up being a bad story, thus its effects will be minimal. So you have to actually get him to like really want to write it and like be inspired.
Well, and so the way you did it in campaign, for those of you who actually care about hearing about the campaign, is that you basically have like spells he can cast, basically skills based on each of the books that's listed here, and each one does a different thing.
So those are his like normal combat. His noble phantasm. I don't remember how it's handled in the campaigns. I didn't make that one myself. My brother handled that one.
Yeah.
Because I don't make every servant we do in the campaign.
But I do remember that because I thought it was really cool.
So I have a couple videos here. The first one here is just going to be the Hans Christian Andersen, just his animation showcase for FGO.
Okay.
This should be his newest animations.
Those damn books. I hate those damn books. It's a little disconcerting to see it like a grown-ass man's voice coming out of The Little Mermaid, coming out of this fucking...
You thought you were getting a little kid's voice, but it was me, Dio.
Como Dio da! Oh look, a red shoe. So we saw The Little Mermaid, we saw the red shoe. Was that Thumbelina?
I don't know.
I think that was Thumbelina.
Thumb.
Yeah. No, that's Thumbelina.
Yeah.
So what was the... Huh. That's gotta be the Snow Queen.
Well, we actually see the Snow Queen.
Oh. Oh, the match girl.
Yeah. Oh, wait. No, I know exactly
The Princess and the Pea?
I don't think so. I might know what that is based off of the voice actress thing.
What is it?
We'll get to that later.
Okay. Because he's calling out like Princess something.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
There's a lot of interesting details in this one.
I know, that's why I'm actually...
such a low rarity servant.
That's why I'm like sitting it out and like watching it.
For the longest time, you just had the caster balls.
Yeah.
But they at some point they updated them because those caster balls suck. Get rid of them.
Yeah, no, now we've got like full-on thematic shit. Okay. That's... Oh, NP animations.
Okay, so the next the next part here, we're
Got
gonna
it.
have to cut this out because this is an entire ass anime thing. It's like a little mini anime short.
All right, we're gonna watch Fujimaru Ritsuka Doesn't Get It short anime episode. They kind of both have like the same NP.
Kinda.
You just called him an amateur hack? Me taking notes in class when my professor's speaking too fast. It's a fucking spell book, isn't it?
So I had to show you that because that was pretty much unironically actually how it works.
Awesome. On that note, I'm not in the particular mood to continue recording this. I simply cannot.
I simply cannot.
I can't. I must be doing something I enjoy.
We need to keep going on this. I'll give you 1 week off.
A whole week. Hashtag blessed.
This series is a fucking trip. But that one was really good for showing off like just what Hans does.
Are you gonna have us watch these?
So I'm not including this as our normal lineup for the reacts because usually they include too many servants you don't know.
Yeah.
But I probably will be coupling this in with Grand Carnival for the FGO gag anime.
Awesome, because this is great.
These are awesome. I've sent you like some of the original comics before too.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So I see a Wikipedia page up next.
Go ahead and click us into that if you'd like.
All right.
This is the Buddhist sex cult. And skulls.
Yeah. You mentioned. You fucking mentioned.
I just sent her a text like, hey, how would you like to look into a Buddhist sex cult?
And I was like, okay. In the middle of a statistics midterm. Was not prepared.
Sorry, I was gonna send that let you know earlier, but I didn't realize it was a real cult until later.
Also, not only is it a Buddhist sex cult, right? But they were also implicated in trying to assassinate Emperor Toba.
Yeah.
So not only, but assassination. I do think that's really funny. I did look into them a little bit, and I mean that's honestly really the description. It's a group of Buddhist cults that are kind of associated together. They're not all exactly the same, but they all share like sex rituals and like sexual rituals that have become that were used across the different versions. And it has been in decline since like the 15th century.
Yeah, no, they aren't really around anymore, not outside of conspiracy theory.
But I did like the skull ritual. I thought that was really cool. I did look it up, this one particularly.
Should I be concerned?
Maybe. I just thought it was interesting because I'm in human osteo right now, and we study real bones in the classroom, which does mean that me and the girls took turns the other day in class holding up the skulls and going, "Alas, poor Yorick, I knew him well," while our professor watched us.
That poor professor.
I'm pretty sure she did it after us. It's glorious. But yeah, the actual practice itself, though, has been outlawed by Japanese authorities for almost 1,000 years. Like, sure, it didn't really, it's not present anymore, but it did keep going even though it was outlawed for like another like 200 years or so. Yeah.
Japan has some wild cults.
Yeah, so I have no clue why you had me look this up, but you also had me look up two particular types of, like, beings.
Yeah, we don't have to go too far into them, but you're welcome to go over them. I just wanted to make sure you were familiar with them.
Yeah, so one is the Chinese mythology, the beast in Chinese mythology called the Shen, or Chen, which is a shape-shifting clam monster that's like a dragon, basically. And it creates mirages. And that's the kind of the power it has. And when you gave me Shen, I thought you meant the Chinese Shen, like essences of deities, because Shen is also the word for like essences of deities in Chinese mythology. But apparently you meant the giant clam monster.
Yep.
The aquatic dragon. Yeah. So yeah, I read a little about it. It was pretty interesting. And then you also gave me the Yao Bikuni, which was really hard to find information on. I actually have a couple of yokai books, thank God, or I would have had to, like, really figure something out, because there's only a few places online that have a lot of information about it, so I was glad I had it in some of my books. But it's like a nun that lived for, like, almost 1,000 years as, like, a beautiful young woman, but that's because she ate the flesh of a ningyo. Yeah. So it's kind of like an evil nun. Which, makes me think maybe we should have done this last month.
I'm not going to lie. Like, we're not going to put a hint at the end of the video, because I'm just going to say it now. Both this video and the next one probably could have been done last month, too.
Hey, you're still getting a hint at the end of this video.
Okay.
I'm too excited not to.
So...
Yeah.
You're probably confused as to why I had you, like, look at all this shit.
A little bit, yeah. Like, why would you give me a aquatic dragon clam monster, a Buddhist sex cult that had rituals that were very closely tied to Indian practices of Buddhism, not Japanese Buddhist practices, and then also a fucking 800-year-old nun yokai?
Well, the answer is Nasu, always. But... we're going to be going over Hans Christian Andersen's Master from Fate Extra CCC.
Okay. Who I've already seen named Chiara Sekhie.
Yes. We're going over her because we've seen, like, the comedic example of how Hans' NP works.
Yeah.
This gets into the, like, what are the fucking upper limits of this?
Okay.
But first, you can go ahead and click into our next tab here.
Shingo?
Yes. So I don't actually have anything written on this.
Oh. Okay.
But this, in some timelines of Fate, this cult evolved and continued going until the modern day.
Oh, interesting.
I don't have too much to say on it, but you're welcome to skim that if you really want to.
Interesting. Okay. It is interesting that it's connected to, like, onmyoji practices.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, yeah. If you want to click into the next page, let me introduce you to Kiara.
Oh, no. God, I hate nuns. Alright, do we have a...
Let me go into this a bit. We have a fair bit to go
I was
through.
going to look at the images in the...
We'll get to that in a bit.
Okay.
Because there is some there, and that's spoilers.
No, I love her in her AKAs, known as the Devil's Bodhisattva.
Yes.
So Bodhisattva is like a name for deity. Deities is not the right word. People in Buddhist tradition that have achieved like a level of enlightenment. There's quite a few of them across the different sects.
So she is a nun whom appears across the Type Moon multiverse, causing various degrees of problems in various timelines.
Mm-hmm.
She would amass a lot of followers and become seen by some, even in the Holy Church, as a modern prophet.
Mm-hmm.
Her teachings seem to involve seeking maximum possible pleasure. Notably, one version of her became a religious leader in a version of the Shingon Tachikawa school that lasted until the modern day, before even that one died off. That said, those who would congregate around her would be doomed. She would inevitably use her followers to fulfill her own sexual desires and then discard them. Without fail, all those who followed her would eventually commit suicide.
Jesus.
Eventually, she would be the only remaining member of that cult until, or after a war within the cult in around the year 2020, that led to them all murdering each other.
I see that.
It is notable that in the twilight years of the cult, they began practicing magecraft as well.
Interesting.
So, fun fact, in some timelines, it has been recently confirmed that the most fucked up version of Emiya Alter, was actually the end result of her cult. At some point, Kiara would get his adoptive guardian Taiga to join the cult, preying presumably on her grief at the loss of Emiya's adopted father.
Oh, and then gets into weird, perverted...
So, Emiya, when he becomes a counter-guardian, has to go deal with that cult, and is forced to kill many of Kiara's followers to get to her, including Taiga.
Oh.
This broke him completely, like the one villain that succeeded canonically.
Aww.
Needless to say, many people in the Type Moon community more or less hate her now, because this came out like months ago. Like that, this was confirmed.
I mean, I was gonna say I can appreciate a woman whose entire teaching is to seek pleasure, but not...
There are a lot of cults in real life where cult leaders kind of push that kind of thing,
Yeah.
but it's still, that doesn't make it any better.
No.
But again, her most notable appearance is as Hans Christian Andersen's master within Fate Extra CCC. Here she would take advantage of Hans' NP to become something approaching the level of a demon, or a daemon. She is an evil woman by Hans' own admission, but evil people make for great stories.
They do.
And yes, you saw there that she'd become known. She's known by many names, but amongst them are the Devil's Bodhisattva. The Devilish Bodhisattva.
Or the Last Prophet.
She also becomes known as Heaven's Whole, and much later, Beast 3R.
Oh, we got another beast.
Yes.
Nice. So she likes bean cakes and fairy tales, which is fun.
Yeah.
I do like that her talent is counseling in a sexual sense. That's what it says.
That makes for a terrible counselor.
It really does. Okay. Just taking a look. She claims that her habit having a slit up the side is because everybody in school is so distinctive, and she wanted to take a risk of youthful indiscretion. And she wears pink underwear. Okay. I'm not sure I needed to know that.
Yeah, part of how she gets as powerful as she is because of Hans.
All right, can I look at her thing now?
No, we're going to get to that later. Click into the next tab.
Okay.
So...
Oh, her as a beast.
The Devil's Bodhisattva was not immediately Beast R. That required an event much later. At the time of CCC, she was just extremely powerful because of Hans. And here she would... we'll get into that later, but she ultimately gets defeated.
Mm-hmm.
Later, though, due to a fallout from the events of FGO Part 1, one of the demon pillars flees to an oil rig in the modern day and runs into Kiara of the FGO timeline, who is more or less just a normal nun. That doesn't last long, as the demon pillar allies with her and connects her to what is seen as what it saw as a wellspring of power for her, from an alternate version of herself, the CCC version.
Okay, and she becomes known as the third heretical pleasure heaven of deeply grateful existence.
Yep.
You know what this feels like?
What?
A little bit like Altera's title.
Kinda. Same series of timelines.
Yeah.
So she became a combination of her FGO and her CCC version, using her knowledge to digitize the oil rig, making it more or less her digital body, where she sinks it into the Marianas Trench.
Good for her.
And she would, over the course of, I believe, years, torment the other workers using summoned servants from the moon cell as they made their way closer and closer to the center of the Earth.
Gaslight gatekeep girl boss. Go off, queen.
Eventually, she would even dominate the mind of the demon pillar, completely fucking it over.
Literally or figuratively?
The demon...
I'm sorry.
Look, you say that, but given the character here, it kind of just was a hentai mind break.
Yeah. I love that for her.
It's here that we find out her true motives, and it's here she finally becomes a full-fledged beast. Her motive is to maximize the pleasure of the Earth's population by becoming one with the Earth itself. In her words, she plans to make herself into the Earth's erogenous zone.
Would it make it easier to find the clitoris?
I think that's what she wanted to be. She wanted to be a human fucking clitoris.
Love that for her.
There she would maximize her own pleasure and therefore everyone on Earth's.
Okay. You leaned forward and got louder.
Sorry.
So, a little quieter.
So, yeah, this lady is crazy, cuckoo, cuckoo, Cocoa for Cocoa Puff. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Silly rabbit tricks are for kids. Okay.
So, I kind of shuffled around my notes here, but if you want to click into the other tab, you can. Because at one point, she becomes an alter ego servant at the end of it, so that she could be summonable into Chaldea.
Okay.
Here's alter ego just splitting off aspects of herself. You can look at the designs and
now I
here.
can look at the designs. Oh, I love the spider lilies. That's
revealing.
Pornographic.
Yeah.
I love the hands with the painted fingernails reaching up.
She's got her FA as well, the final ascension.
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh. Lovely. In the place of the sun. I feel violated. That's adorable. I love that. Also, let's see, sprites. She's curvier as a sprite. I'm gonna be honest, I kind of like the nun form the best. It's simple, but it gets the job done. These are a little... I mean, this one's my second favorite, probably.
You think they're a little over-designed?
A little bit, yeah. I'm kind of a fan of, like, the evil nun.
Well, that is her classic designs.
I know. This looks good.
But... So, abilities-wise, she primarily fights using...
Well, hang on. Don't I have...
Oh, you do have relationships there. Should be in the alter ego tab, so it might be in the last one.
What?
Did I mention that this section is probably not going to be monetized? You might need to go to the next, the one after that.
Okay.
Sorry, lots of pages for her.
Okay. Yes, I do. Okay, not too many. Oh, So that boy is named Anderson? I do not know. I do not know of that person at all. Melons, cowwoman, a whore who crawled out of a sewer. No, I do not remember those words at all. As such, please do not invite him into the same room, or especially the same party as me. Do you understand? For mercy's sake. It's not like I'm concerned or anything like that, but isn't that person in bad shape? After all, there is no sharpness to his abusive language. That is just a nice person who's simply hard to understand. He used to be way worse than this, laughing at the private parts I was most conscious about without holding anything back, and driving me away without giving a damn. Such a useless person. It depends on the party, you say. In other words, that is... Pardon me, I remembered an errand I have to take care of, so I'll be excusing myself here, all right? Okay, let me alter. So he also turned into a servant as well. White hair, a twisted mind, dual-wielding guns. What an ill fate. The great hero of justice who drenched his own hands in blood, destroying my many followers, all to defeat my own evil. How amusing. A fall from grace, and all that remains is the decay. Am I right? Comma. I never expected the beast that has paired with me as Comma instead of Mara. There's no denying that she's younger than me, but isn't she a bit too graceless? I see. So that was L. I'm a being that receives love from all. They're a being that gives love to all. That means we'll never be able to stand together. No? Bibi Pele. I have achieved... Eclosion?
I don't know what that word means. We might not want to find out.
The act of emerging from a pupa case or hatching from an egg. I have achieved eclosion by my own karma, but it appears she had such grounding since the beginning. For her to get along with a god from deep space, she is truly a heretic among heretics at her core. As follows with similar circumstances, let's get along, shall we? Did Kiara just admit that she's the product of egg preg?
No.
She just said that she came out of an egg or a pupa.
I think she just means birth, like she has been born or reborn. It's a figure of speech. I'm 99.9%.
I hate it. Her Mitralis. Her pleasure and the pleasure of a woman, that alone could be called the difference. But that ego and I are opposite existences. If there is a time, yes, not just her hands, I'll smash her legs too and throw her away in a garbage dump.
Can you tell who managed to beat her?
To Mama no I. To think a bunrei like that would be created by the principal object of my worship. I am astonished. No, rather, I am deeply moved. It's the most optimal way to enjoy life. Fine things, aren't they? The Tamamo 9. Should I also follow their example in secret? Okay, now we're into abilities.
So she primarily fights using her hands, both physically and metaphorically, with some Buddhism-based magecraft thrown in there for good measure. Manifests as a beast, she's capable of countering messiahs and those of the savior class.
Okay.
Her very presence can cause one to lose their sense of self and fall into a pleasure-based nirvana.
Love that. So I see skills, class skills, authority of the beast, understandable. Independent manifestation, okay. Logos eater, which is an interesting
I think it has a lot to do with like the lore of the moon cell.
Yeah. Nega saver, okay. Clairvoyance, the 5 approaches to meditation. That's some of the Buddhist stuff, I assume. Goddess metamorphosis. Human order ascension ritual. Masochistic constitution. Sadistic constitution. Bondage preference. Growth desire. Repulsion for one's kin. Okay.
So her noble phantasm is
Amitabha Amidala? Heaven's Hole?
Yes. Kind of. She actually has 2, so if you were to flip back to... I know we're jumping all over the place.
Okay, am I going to the first or the second tab for this? That you had open? For Kiara.
I'm going to have you go to the...
This one?
Go to the first one.
The first one.
Yeah.
Am I looking down here?
Yes.
Okay.
So the first noble phantasm here is called...
Angramayu?
Yeah.
CCC?
The best way to describe it is her ushering the souls of the world into her, making it an effective mental, albeit physical and carnal attack.
Love that.
In FGO, it's a little bit more tamely shown off, where she uses the absorbed demon pillar to create more demon pillars inside her body, where the target is wrapped in them and is overcome with ecstasy until they dissolve into her.
Okay.
Let's see. Other than that, and then her noble phantasm in FGO, like the alter ego form, is Heaven's Whole. It's the same noble phantasm, just a little bit weaker.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna.
Wada Arco does a lot of servants because he's.
I know. I just wanted to look.
He's basically the Takeuchi of the extroverse.
See, but that means nothing to me because I don't know who
Saberface
Takeuchi is. Okay. See, you say that as if there are things I'm supposed to know, but I didn't even start looking into which artist did who until recently. So Nero Claudius, Tamamo Cat, Tamamo no Mai, Hans Christian Andersen. I'm looking forward to seeing Francis Drake sometime. Same with Robin Hood, Nursery Rhyme. Li Shuwen, old and new. Elizabeth Bathory. Okay. Bibi Matrilis, Passion Lip, King Protea. Koyanskaya. Aphrodite. 9 Tattoo Dragon Eliza. Sodom's Beast Draco. I did like Draco. Alright.
So if you want, you can go into the NP here.
Oh, just separately?
Oh, no, I was just going to... for the YouTube videos.
Oh. Alright.
I am sorry, by the way.
Is this...
This is for extra CCC.
Is this... Do I have to cut this out?
Well, it's on YouTube, so it won't get us...
Damn, I was hoping I'd have to cut this out. Did she just...
Yep. Yeah, I am very sorry.
I feel dirty.
Yeah. It gets much...
What land of purity, you whore! Sorry.
You're good.
Demonic Bodhisattva?
So we don't need to watch this entire thing because we're going to see the NP animation later, but this is just what some of the first boss fight phases look like.
Okay. I swear to fucking God, if this opens...
No, nothing is going to be as bad as that one.
Good.
Give it a minute.
She's just powering up, right?
Skip ahead a bit.
Oh.
Big woman.
Oh. Okay. Big lady. Alright. Okay.
She has a she has an alternate version of the fight. We really don't have to look at the next one long, but...
Okay. Oh, beast right versus left?
Well, the left is just the, someone wrote using comma.
Ah.
That's it. That's her other beast fight design.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
This is the FGO trailer, though, so...
Alright, so this might have to...
No, this won't.
Oh, okay. Because we have gotten in trouble for trailers before, but they were newer.
Just the one that was for the Heaven's Feel tie-in.
Yeah.
So that giant hand in Hans' animation, I'm pretty sure it was her.
I think you're right, yeah. Please don't say that. Oh. Oh. Tasteful.
Much more tasteful than the last one.
Yeah. Can I close these 3 Kiara tabs?
Yes.
Okay. Alright. There's another Kiara tab.
Yes. Yeah, that one stays open because she has a summer form.
Alright, am I switching to the summer form now?
Yep. So she does get summoned as a moon cancer.
Oh.
For reasons we'll get into a little bit later.
That's a lot of...
Skin?
Yeah. Better? Best. Maybe. We're gonna say we like this one the best. Yeah.
The final ascension?
Yeah.
Oh, she's in stage 4.
Oh. Yeah, we're gonna go with 3. April Fool. I mean, look, it's a beautiful outfit. That's just a lot. A lot's hanging out. You know what I mean? All right. So summer.
So she would basically try to hijack a singularity. Here she uses Han's abilities to take on aspects of the Little Mermaid, or at least Little Mermaid stories.
Mm-hmm.
In many ways, she treats herself as the Little Mermaid, though the reality is that she's not even close to the Little Mermaid and is instead just taking on aspects of the Yabakuni as well as the Shin.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a Lily version?
She disguises as a little child so that people don't recognize her.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Some of these actually should be the same.
Well, these two are different. I can't clearly record of Lily's affairs unless I assume that form myself. Now, that is not even necessary. I can clearly picture how the whole thing must have unfolded out. Not only did he act with complete inconsideration and a singularity to which he wasn't even called, he mustn't have accomplished anything in particular, right? For better or worse, it's in his nature to completely captivate the readers' hearts, but not grant them what they want, even at the very end. That is the kind of fiend that he is. That was about Hans Christian Andersen. BB Pele. So there's a swimsuit BB here too. As fellow moon burners, the two of us being moon cancers is inevitable. Oh, she's saying she wants nothing whatsoever to do with me. Oh my, and I thought we could be friends. I suppose we really have no choice but to destroy each other. Do you think this planet would survive unscathed if the two of us fought over you? Well, if it isn't Miss BB, I'm a greenhorn moon cancer, so I'll look forward to your helping from now on. I've no idea why, but if it's the one that encroaches the moon, I suppose I might fit the criteria somehow. I really, really have no idea why, though. Cyberbrain or Phantasmagoria both have different specialities, but undoubtedly share the ability to infinitely expand one's conscious. I wonder which of us is the first to cross beyond the Milky Way. Mysterious alter ego Lambda?
Yes.
Did I guess that correctly, or
yes,
is that...
that's actually how people say it.
Because it's the letter Lambda.
Yeah.
Alright, this is silly, even for you. She is obviously Matrilis. I want to crush her immediately. Is that okay? Even Tamamo is in a summer saint graph, obviously, because she's a ray of sunshine. You have already set the bar for going out of control, so my dignity will not suffer. It goes without saying that it is a great benefit to have excellent predecessors. It may not be my place to say this, but a foreigner? My understanding is that consorting with servants of that sort is dangerous, and I sense something especially sinister from that Abigail girl. A remote universe beyond even the Buddha's touch. I cannot help but be intrigued. Oh no, I am absolutely not saying that because I'm envious of her swimsuit that absolutely screams cute. I shouldn't be saying that, but about that foreigner, right? I don't think you should beckon that type of servant. Among them, Abigail especially harbors something sinister. The outer universe... Okay. So this is like, this is the same thing as this said, just slightly differently worded.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, hello, comma. Why the angry look? Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I failed to realize and just approached you so casually. I turned myself into a young girl out of sheer curiosity. I'm sorry I stole your patented form. Her face of astonishment was so adorable I couldn't help but laugh. Apparently she thought she was the only one capable of switching between girl and adulthood. We're the two sides of the beast that loves mankind, so shouldn't that be uncommon for one to do what the other does? Koyanskaya. Who was born as a beast loses herself as a servant, so that's how it happens. You're the seed of cross-species fraternity, so the choice to bare your fangs or keep them in. It's true I like fairy tales, but not that one. Fairy King Oberon. He is not a fantasy, but rather a bottomless pit that contains no truth to it whatsoever. Himiko. Ah, so blinding. With such a potent divine aura, it must be a quite famous divine spirit. Or not. For a human to gather so many revelers, she'll surely get in my way. Huh? Grilled clams? Why, thank you. Then if you don't mind. I really don't understand. Is she a heroic spirit with a talent for cooking? Is that who she is? And Otohime. A small good deed on a foreshore that befell misery upon a young man's life. I've nothing but sympathy towards that. The utopia and the inhuman demonic realm are but two sides of a coin. Cruelty of such beauty that it renders impossible to depict. I'm eagerly waiting for our Dragon Palace Castle duo one day.
So, abilities-wise, she possesses the ability to lay a phantom world atop the normal one and create complex mirages. Mm-hmm. These illusions can be used to cause people to lose themselves, because Kiara. Mm-hmm. And by consuming mermaid's flesh, she can cause herself to edge closer towards immortality. This has its limits, though.
Cool. And her noble phantom is a Nirmanarati?
Heaven's foam. She captures targets in an illusory city where the goal is to, over time, cause them to lose themselves until, once again, they dissolve into foam of the illusion.
Okay, so this is very Little Mermaid inspired.
Yes. Mm-hmm. She definitely fashions herself after the Little Mermaid.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
So I have two tabs here. I don't know why. I don't think I actually have two videos to show you. What's the second one? Oh, okay. I was just thinking if there wasn't arcade, and there wasn't.
Flowers by the water and mermaids in the sea. Them roosters. That was like a tail of water.
Wild chickens are actually a big problem in Hawaii.
Is the summer event always in Hawaii?
No, but the one that's in the background there is specifically fashioned after the beach on Honolulu.
That's what I thought. Oh. Ooh. Yeah, this is definitely Little Mermaid coded.
There's actually a second noble phantasm there that this didn't show.
Yeah. Nope, we just got the one. Weren't you looking it up and you couldn't find a good...
No, I was looking up something. If you click here, that should take us to it.
Is it this
one? Go third one down.
That one?
Yeah, that's the form that has it. Just use the chapters to skip to it.
Oh, it's the
Because this is her more
version.
Little Mermaid looking one.
Yeah. Oh, with the little... So when was this added into the game?
This was in NA 2 years ago now, and JP 4 years ago? No, this was last year for NA. In JP it would have been 3 years ago.
So, there's a One Piece character.
Yeah?
In the Fishman Island arc that is a giant mermaid. Princess, I forget her name, but she's just a giant mermaid.
Nice.
Like that size. Alright. You have one more Hans for me?
Yep. Click into the next tab. Meet Adult
Hans.
So we're going to loop back around to the motivations of Kiara. We're going to find... So all she did in her summer... All of her summer antics, even though she was not the main villain, she did fuck up a lot. But it was all a distraction to keep the singularity going as long as she could. Or as long as it could. Because here she summoned Hans in an older body as a rogue servant. She would send him into a dingy, run-down room and try to force him to write a sequel to a book she fell in love with as a child.
Which one?
The Little Mermaid.
Why?
By the end, he hands her a book emblazoned with the cover, The Little Mermaid 2. When questioned by other authors about the rogue adult version of him's actions and how he could write in a dingy, run-down room like that, the young Hans would respond, and I quote, "You're talking to a man who continuously bemoaned the state of the world and said he was sure to die at any moment. even as ultimately he ended up living to the ripe old age of 70.
Mm-hmm.
Even if this other version of me had been motivated to do so, I could never have gotten any writing done in such an overwhelmingly hospitable environment, you moron. Inside the book was a blank white sheets of paper and a note that said, "I owe you."
Ah! Good for you. Also, hot. I like adult Hans. We're a fan of adult Hans. We like this. Alright, so I guess that leaves the CEs and such.
I figured that was an appropriate way to end new service.
Oh, okay. So
They reorganized this.
I was gonna say it is just a full. Alright. Baseball! Oh, another new artist. We've not seen this artist do baseball figures before. Because this is very unfamiliar. He looks very unamused.
Wouldn't you be?
I mean, valid. Okay. This is cute. Kiara's hand.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Cute.
That is Bao and Chi's analysis of Hans Christian Andersen's foot.
Alright, so... Oh, there he is.
And there's Kiara.
And there Kiara is. Okay.
How many of these do you not recognize still?
Alright. I know who this is, but I don't know them. I don't know this person?
Nope.
I do know the
Those
Tamamos.
two.
I know that.
You don't know the next person.
Don't know that.
Don't know the next person.
No.
Don't know the next person.
No. Yes.
Nope.
No.
And I think you know that entire bottom row.
This is...
That's Gawain.
Okay. Alright, know that. Know that. Is this an...
You don't know them, actually.
Okay. The purples?
Yeah.
Okay. I do know this is a Vlad.
Yep.
And that's...
That's Ganesh or Jinako.
That's it. Jinako. I was thinking Chinako for some reason. But yeah, okay. So I'm still missing the purples and a couple people in the top row.
Yeah.
Alright. Alright. I can already recognize one of these. 2 of these. 3 of these. 4 of these. Alright. Holy Maiden leading Chaldea. Oh, yep. Oh, look at there. Look at Emiya looking so unamused in the background.
Hans looks way too happy.
He does. He looks... Well, he's got a script.
Oh.
He's got a script to give to her. Yeah. They say the flag wielded by the Maid of Orleans is the symbol of hope and inspiration for many to follow. Well, that aside, she walks the path of flames leading heroes to victory. Believe in the glorious My Room that awaits at the end of the path. Nice. To my dear friend. Oh yeah, because he had like one of the letters that kept even to the end of his life. Let me tell you a story. Ever since his own birth, the man has always been unsatisfied. Pain, itchiness, dullness, swelling. His body was filled with these feelings all over like a lice infection. He believed in words instead of intuitions and stories over emotions. Therefore, the man was not at peace with himself. It doesn't matter if it's the grievance of the oppressed or the joy of the unworthy neighbors. Everything seems to be full of unbearable discontent. The man said, "I'm like a cat swarmed by lice. All of my worries, you laughed them off as if they were simply insignificant." That was what happened on one sunny yet very ordinary day. Would you stop squeaking?
There we go.
Okay. A bluebird-like computer mouse. Valentine's return gift from Andersen. Given to you because it's going to get old eventually. He claims it's an item that he no longer has use for because he switched to a tablet. It's just a used mouse. This is a cheap mouse for children made by the Bluebird Trading Co., which was sold through the big online shop My Zone. But we're a bit off topic here. There's a theory that the mouse brings good luck, and mice from the first lot manufactured are resold at an exorbitant price.
So, confirm there are 2 Amazon
There's
spoofs
Amazon
in
S
Type Moon?
and then My Zone. Quatre filles. Now I know 3 people here.
Yep.
I read this last time.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Yes, I did. Love that. The cage. Oh, look at that. That's cool.
That is a pretty cool CE.
Yeah. To write a story is to be entrapped by its tale, the agony of the mermaid princess that echoes from the depths, a match's flame that freezes the flesh. So many endings cursed by the good. But what about it? I'm not searching for salvation from the get-go. What I'm looking for is that resentment. The voice that resents the end is truly the motivation for the writer of children's stories. I love it. Although its scent still lingers on... Oh, okay.
Hans is hidden somewhere in there.
I wonder if he's, like, on one of the cards.
Maybe.
Yeah. Because he's not in the background.
Because otherwise this is just like some of Caldea's main crew.
We've already seen the sea as well before. Yeah. I'd be willing to bet he's on one of the cards, and I'm not going to see him. Close.
We'll be back.
I'm sure we will. Hey, Riding High! I remember this when we did Blackbeard.
All of them in there now.
Yep, I remember this when we did Blackbeard and Shakespeare. A new issue? I don't believe it, but looks like we managed to make it on time. I don't know how many we made, but go ahead and take whatever catches your eye. Price? We can't possibly put a price on them. Why don't you use that head of yours and a bit of common sense as a reader to decide? But that aside, we'll charge at least 100 BB bucks to cover the printing cost. A money jar sits on the table next to the anguished writer of children's stories and the dozing playwright. It appears that it's been left to your discretion and courage to determine the price you will pay. Hold on a minute. Every book on this table is different? Aren't we going to change into swimsuits, you ask? Idiot, if I go in the ocean, I'm sure to get dragged underwater by a mermaid. I'm sure you are. T.H.E spirits. I mean, I see him. He's there.
Yeah.
Is this Vlad?
Yep.
It's Vladdy! Well, it's not Vladdy, but it's the other Vlad. It's Spiky Vlad. It's Angry Vlad. The watchtower's fire bell rings incessantly. The blaze spreads far and wide. As the chief waves the firefighter's matoi, the banner to show the fire's location, the Gaian and men follow suit. Firefighting efforts will not cease until all fires are extinguished. Fires and festivals are both flashy, everyday affairs. Heroic Spirit festive wear! It's an anniversary! Is that a fucking giant Lego Nobu rising out of the ocean?
I think that's a Kiara.
It looks like Lego Nobu.
Oh, it is Nobu.
Yeah.
Right. It's a little Nobu.
With Lego hands.
Yeah.
I hate that. Alright. Supreme Academy. I think I've seen this before as well, because that's Romulus and Quirinius. Right?
I don't know.
No, Caligula and Romulus Quirinius.
Yeah.
Yeah, the red eyes. I don't know who this is.
Yeah, I know you don't.
Okay. Nope. I saw names. I didn't read the names, but I saw names, so I'm just gonna... Doc Kaikion?
You won't know who this is, but Hans is in the background.
Is it Demeter?
No.
Okay. She's holding a book that's all about cereals, and Kaikion is a drink that's sacred to the worship of Demeter in the Eleusinian mysteries.
You've seen Demeter before.
I know, but this is someone related to...
I think they might be related to Demeter.
Alright, I'm not gonna read that then, because it doesn't seem to be... Okay, I remember this. Service games. We read this on a different character. It's so cute, though. Alright, Sekhie.
Yep.
The nun. Nope. Sorry, just the automatic urge to just drop to the bottom.
We've done it for so long.
I know.
You're ruining us here, FGO Wiki. Cool.
They introduced that feet pick thing, didn't they? That's what I'm looking at, isn't it?
There's the entire event where Baba and Shi just pictures of all the servants' feet.
Nope. Nope. I'm just looking. Look at her baseball! Oh my god, it's so cute! I love it so much. This might be one of my favorite baseballs so far.
Not too many.
Yep. Do I have to open it?
Yes.
We still could have been monetized up to this point. There wasn't anything too bad. Demonic Bodhisattva. Let me tell you the story of a woman. Oh, you are so lovely, says the woman as if speaking to a baby at her breast. Humanity is nothing but young breasts. Ephemeral...
The corrupting effect of Kiara, everyone.
Humanity is nothing but young beasts. Ephemeral fruit. Ephemeral fruit that devour their desires and melt in them, drown in them. So who could deny this great and infinite love? Enlightenment and nirvana are hers to command. Your final destination is the paradise that is Sekhie. Oh, how lovely, 7 billion lives meeting their ends simply to find me. Her whispers drowning you in lust, she cradles the globe in her hand as if cradling a baby at her breast.
That one said breast.
We're moving on. Dream from the cradle. Oh, look, it's the Little Mermaid. Her entire world was a canopied bed. The body that was infested by illness slowly counts down to the end. The adults standing on the opposite end of the thin sheet who hate, laugh, and enjoy one another are no more than shadow puppets. Though she is revered as having the ability to save the world, her dwelling is worse than the ugliest places said world has to offer. It's at the bottom of a beastly well of ID where even trash balks at the atrocious environment. The girl gives up on her own life, gives up on intelligent people, and gives up on pursuing the wisdom of others. But the one thing she hadn't given up was her dream. On the brink of death, the girl holds a single book that she treasures, a book of children's tales, one of her true believers left on a whim, as was her one ray of light. Sekhie's first class ohagi. Yum. Valentine's chocolate. High-end Japanese bead cakes. For some reason, they emit a sense of godliness. Normally, an indolent, self-indulgent woman like her would not cook in the first place, but the devilish bodhisattva in her can demonstrate extreme talent when needed. The dish itself tastes like the very nectar of the hemens themselves. One taste of it, and the tongue grows parched, the eyes melt, and after the psyche is tormented by its exquisite taste, the sense of being a storm-tossed vessel overwhelms the hapless fool who conserved it. Eat but one and you may walk the path of man. Reach for the second and who can fathom what may happen? You will die if you eat these two. Heroic Spirit Festival Wear. Oh, that's cute. I actually like that. It's very pretty. The crown and everything. Yeah, 4th anniversary.
You didn't scroll far enough.
A normal, wholesome Buddhist slow life essay. At least that's what it's supposed to be, but as you read on, strange symbols begin to manifest, including a racing heart, a feeling of excitement, excessive sweating, a sense of agitation bubbling from within, an unquenchable desire, a gentle, benevolent smile. Even its creators aren't sure why it turned out to be the legendary book it is. Supposedly, the strange sounds like the chanting of Buddhist mantras were heard while the book was being written, but whether this affected its contents and completion or not is unclear.
What was the name of this one again?
Bible of Shingon Tachikawa School.
I'm pretty sure it's an actual book title, just not with that cover.
I'm not looking at that cover. This is still monetizable. We're not doing it. Oh.
Is this one still at the bottom?
Maybe it doesn't have anything.
No, it should have Bond, CE, and Valentine's at bare minimum.
Oh, yeah, it is still at the bottom.
Look at that baseball.
Look at that baseball. I'm not the biggest fan of it.
She also has a unique card art.
I was going to click on that next. I like the card art. The card art's pretty.
It's entirely theorized that her only reason for being a moon cancer is to fuck with BB.
I ignored that foot pic. There's 2 versions. I cannot tell the difference.
Oh, I found it.
What is it?
There's a symbol like right below her neck, right above her breast.
Oh, yeah. And the dots on her head. Okay. All right.
Hey, consort you.
And Abby. And there's Anderson and little version of her. Yeah.
There's Brynhildr and Sigurd.
Yup. Looking...
I think that's just all... Yeah, that's all of the servants from the summer she was introduced in.
Oh. Koyanskaya?
Yep.
Don't know.
Don't know.
And her.
Yep.
Cool. Alright.
Not too many.
There's 3. Palm top multi-storied building. Oh, it's like a pagoda style. Okay. It is a paradise that is not of this world, a mortar-shaped spiral trench. It is the bottom of the deep, deep sea where the Dragon Palace resides. Welcome to my bedchamber. So you have chosen to be deluded by dreams and illusions of hell rather than be lost among pain and pleasures of the surface world. A bewitching voice echoes throughout, like a gentle wind, like a dream, and like heaven. To the woman it's merely a small bedroom, yet to the meager insect it's as vast as a dreamy castle town. There may be no path back to the surface, but there's no need to go back anyways. Come, hold on to my little finger, I shall pluck you into the dream you seek, to the Tower of Joy. A mirage where both body and soul dissolves into its illusion. There's no suffering, yet no freedom. The insect's emotions are consumed by the woman's wiles. How wonderful. I want to stay longer. I've been deceived, I want to get out. Terrifying, I want more. Please, let me out. A paradise on a palm where everything and anything is permitted. Yes, that's right. No matter how much they try, it's only a nip of a little bug. I do hope you will be of some stimulation during this boring nap that will last for eternity. Its flirtatious voice and despair are both helpless sea foam, a sentient wish-fulfillment tool, not a toy that fulfills a woman's desire. A lot of the ways that they're describing this reminds me of the way that, like, in Hindu mythology, he naps holding the universe in his dream.
Well, a lot of her is trying to
I know, I'm
ape
just...
other religions.
Yeah. A cook's heart. Is that baby Abby? With pancakes!
Pancakey.
Pancakey. Pancakes as fluffy as clouds, dressed up with fruit and honey as sweet as dreams. I hope I can pay back some of the happiness you've given me, but the time I've spent with you has been so exhilarating and so sweet, I don't think I'll ever be able to. That just means I'll have to stick with you for the rest of your life. Isn't that what you want, Master? Sweets! Alright, one summer's mirage set.
Why'd you close it?
Chocolate handcuffs. This Pandora's bar treasure chest contains chocolates to match each of her ascensions. Drifting flowers, handcuffs, and seashells. Feel free to partake in the treat of your choice. It is, however, very important to note that moderation in all things is very, very important. This bodhisattva may smile upon you for eating only a piece or two, but should you greedily devour the entire box, there might be more than just chocolate in that box, you know? Oh, God.
Do you need an adult?
I need an adult.
Kiara's an adult.
Kiara is not an adult that I need. That is a nope. That is a yikes on trikes. Choices were made in the creation of that servant. Choices, knick-knack, choices.
I feel like I have deeply scarred you.
Well. Hans is fun. I like Hans. So I suppose I can give the hint for the next video.
Yeah. Let's just move on.
'Twas brillig in the slithy tovs did gyre and gimble in the wob. All mimsy were the borogroves and the mumraths outgrabe. Try harder, everyone. See you next time.